the last few weeks, trying to deliberate on the issue of the division of revenue bill. I will not go to the background because that has been covered already, but I want to bring to the attention of everyone here that I have been in mediations before, but the mediation we have had this time, we have had very strong characters in terms of persona and also intellect, and also the drive to support devolution, both on the Senate side and the National Assembly. And I want to commend all of them. We have real defenders of devolution in this mediation committee, and the more the reason it has not been easy. However, as you understand, we are dealing with a situation that we all understand in terms of the scarcity of resources, and therefore it has been a point where we are facing reality as it is, without a lot of sugarcoat. And the truth of the matter is that whereas there is will to adequately, as we have done for the counties, and as much as there is also will to add more resources to the counties, the constraint remains that we have scarcity of resources in terms of collection of revenue. So there has never been a question of who supports or who does not support devolution. All of us here unequivocally, we all support devolution from the National Assembly to the Senate fully, without any doubt about it. So out of our deliberations, which have, as you've covered us very well for the last many weeks, these hard negotiations and zooming in into the figures that we have, trying to collect the data of the revenues that we have collected as the country for the last many years, and therefore trying to project what may happen. As you are all aware, the National Assembly had passed a division of revenue bill of Kenya shillings 380 billion. So the National Assembly had indicated through the division of revenue that we passed, the revised version of 380 billion. However, we have seen that there are many areas that we need to support our counties. One is the additional levies that are there now in terms of housing levy, where the employer and the employee have to pay. Counties are still employers, as we all know. The new levies in the healthcare provision, the new cadre of payee. So we have come up with a solution, and I really want to commend the members of this mediation, that we cannot afford to give our counties less money than they received last financial year. And we have agreed unequivocally and unanimously that our counties deserve resources, and for that reason, we have reinstated the figure that they got the last financial year of 385 billion, and on top of that, we have made and provisioned additional resources of Kenya shillings 2 billion to make our counties perform their duties efficiently. Lastly, the magnanimity of the membership of this mediation has been based on the fact that we are proceeding for recess, both houses. And the way we all support devolution, we would not want to be in a situation where our counties are gridlocked. And that is why we have decided we are going to process this bill the fastest way we can in the National Assembly. We'll be asking our colleagues in the National Assembly to support, so that we move into capacitating our counties to function the way they ought. We also have additional resources we have provisioned to our counties under the County Government Additional Allocation Bill. That is over and above the monies we are provisioning. Over and above the monies we are provisioning under the Division of Revenue Bill, we have also decided that we will be supporting our counties additionally through County Government Additional Allocation Bill. with resources of over 45 billion Kenya shillings, over and above the 387. And therefore, this is a bright day, and I am glad that our counties will now continue offering services efficiently to Kenyans with the additional resources that this mediation committee has provided. I now want to request my senior Senator Harry Robert to give his remarks.
Thank you very much, my co-chair. I also equally want to start by thanking the members of the mediation committee who have passionately engaged over the last 4 meetings before we arrive at an agreement. And the agreement is on the principle that, just like employees in labor law, when you employ a staff and you give him salary of X today, unless some catastrophic incident happens, you cannot give that employee less money suddenly. And as such, we have agreed that we need to maintain what the county governments were allocated in 2023-2024. And because of inflationary considerations, and also realizing this financial year is an extraordinary financial year without a finance bill in place, and that has affected not only what we are discussing here, even the structure of government has changed because of the extraordinary circumstance that the political environment in this country has seen within the current financial year. Now, the position taken is that the goodwill to support devolution is extremely apparent from both sides. All of us come from counties, including my counterpart, and I'm sure the people from our counties are also watching. The figure we've agreed upon is 387 billion as the mediated position for county governments. And I know our counties might be expecting a lot. Unfortunately, that a lot will be informed by reality. And reality has confined us to making this considered decision, having taken a lot of issues into consideration. And also, I must thank the magnanimity of the members, and particularly members of National Assembly, on one issue, the cognizance of the fact that we are going on recess in 2 weeks, and we also have to pass KARA within the same 2 weeks in order to make sure we facilitate the funds flow to counties, because amending of DORA will give rise now to the green light for us to be able to start processing of KARA. And that requires, sincerely, it requires the goodwill of both houses. KARA has been returned with a memorandum from the president. It is the law. It's not the president. It's not the 2 houses of parliament. That to pass KARA, now with this small amendment, it requires 2/3 majority in both houses to pass KARA, which really overemphasizes the need for us to have that goodwill between ourselves, the 2 houses of government, in order to make sure that we support our counties with resources. Mine is just to say thank you to our mediation team, and we will move with speed to make sure that we conclude on, because the bill is not going to undergo the natural phases, and also KARA is not going to undergo first reading, second. We are attending to KARA at the point of the memorandum, so it's going to be a bit shorter for us to realize. We move with speed to make sure counties get their money. And without wasting a lot of time, I want to give each of the members of the committee, maybe so that I don't forget, I will start with Dr. Makali. Veronica, sorry, my apologies, my SG.
Thank you.
Karibu.
Thank you for the opportunity. Honorable co-chairs, I want to take this opportunity to thank you most sincerely, together with the members, for conducting a very good mediation process, which has not been overly elongated, especially due to the fact that counties are in dire need of disbursement of the resources. Let me say that a good mediation is one where parties listen to one another and consider the views of one another on the basis of mutual respect and understanding and appreciating the issues that need to be canvassed during the mediation process. What has happened today is that both parties have agreed on a principle to work on, and that principle is based on a principle of retention and improvement of the allocation that was made to the counties last year. And indeed, the counties today can smile and say that nothing has been deducted from what was allocated and disbursed last year, but there is a bit of improvement. We have also considered other prevailing factors that have affected our economy in the nation, including the debt burden, the fact that we have some realities, practical realities that we have to look at, fiscal realities that cannot be ignored. And as a result, though we could not get exactly the 400 billion that we hoped to get for the counties, we know that we also have to be realistic so that we don't overdrive the Treasury or the Ministry of Planning into taking more debt for our nation. So what we've come up with is comfortable for the nation, is comfortable for the counties for the time being, and I'm sure we will be able to improve the services at the county level. It is clear that counties would also need to improve on how own source revenue is being collected at the county level, so that we do not put all the burden on the national budget. And that would help us, would help the counties to stop being over-reliant on country budget, on the national budget. So I want to thank the members for this successful mediation, and we hope that even the other mediations that are being done within this sector will be as successful as the one that has been done today. Asante.
Dr. Makali.
Yeah, thank you very much, co-chairs. Let me start by appreciating all of us for the patience. It wasn't easy, but in every mediation process, there's give and take. I think at the end of the day, we have agreed on the figures. My appeal is to all the accounting officers, both the governors and at the national level, to be prudent in the management of these resources. I submit, co-chairs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Sifuna.
Let me also take this opportunity to thank my colleagues from both houses for the work that has been done, that has gone into persuading each other about the state in which we find our country. And as I said in the beginning, when you agree on principle, life becomes very easy. And agreeing on principle lays the basis for agreeing on numbers. So the conflict between the PhDs and the lawyers, there has to be a middle ground. And I'm very happy, Honorable Co-Chairs, that you were able to guide this process in such a way that we agreed on certain principles. And when these principles are set, they are not just for now. They set the precedent for future mediations and even how we deal with these issues going forward. If we have been able to persuade each other that counties must never receive money less than what they received in the previous financial year or the preceding financial year, that is progress. That I consider progress, not only for devolution, but in terms of growing the sort of democracy that we anticipated to grow with our constitution. If we have agreed that year on year to factor in all the issues that have happened in the last 12 months, including inflationary trends, that there has to be at least a growth in that allocation for counties, that for me counts as progress and it counts as success, that we're able to agree on principle. The last principle, if we have been able to persuade each other that in fact, wherever there is a shortfall, the institution or the government with the highest responsibility to bear the highest burden of that shortfall is the national government, that is progress. So that even those who will come after us will have a template upon which to conclude such controversies. Lastly, Chair, just two things. I am very happy that we agree that there are no citizens for the national government and no citizens for the county governments. And that if you ask your average voter in Mathare, they don't care if a bridge is built by the MCA, the MP, or the county governor. All they want to see is a bridge being built. Lastly, we as an institution of parliament we must never cede even an inch of our constitutional mandate. That we must defend the territory that we've been given as Parliament, because that territory was given to us by the people of Kenya. So if something is required to be done by Parliament, let no other institution or organ or arm of government purport to be the ones in charge of doing that which constitutionally is placed in the hands of Parliament. I thank you.
Senator Eddy.
Chair, I thank you as well, and I want to first of all thank the two co-chairs who have taken us through this entire mediation process, and of course my colleagues who have been in this process. And I can also not forget the Secretariat that has been very, actually that have been, because both Secretariat from the National Assembly and the Senate have been very, very instrumental in terms of just being able to help us access the data that can be able to make us a scientific decision in this process. That said, I want to piggyback on what Senator Sifuna said on the concept of principles. And I think that if there is one thing that has been tested in this mediation process, is the common understanding of budget cuts vis-a-vis defunding. I think that we were actually trading on a very dangerous premise when we wanted to find ourselves in a situation whereby counties were going to be given money below what they got in the previous year. Because most of the funds that are going to the counties are essentially financing administration of those counties. They barely fund development in those counties. And the moment you touch the administration of those counties, then that is not a budget cut process. That is a defunding process. And because of those principles that Senator Sifuna has talked about, of not giving counties less than money they received from the previous year, and to make sure that there's always at least a marginal growth in terms of revenue that counties get, these two principles will enable us to make sure that there is never an attempt to defund counties, which is a very serious progress. But that said, there are still some serious development projects that counties are still facing, because some of these are commitments that have already been made. One of those that is key has been the issue of KIBES. That was part of this conversation. The county integrated development, county integrated industrial parks that were supposed to be developed by counties. We do bear, very painfully in the committee, we have really struggled with this concept, because there are some counties, about 18, that already had resources committed to them, and we don't know whether those resources would then mean that they'll go to waste for those contracts that are already on the ground, or we'll still continue having stalled projects. This is the only place that the concept of on-source revenue must then come in. The on-source revenue idea is one of the principles that I believe should never come in a equitable sharing of resources. It is not a basis at all. But given where we find ourselves economically as a country, we want to urge county government that, given that we have seen some marginal improvement in on-source revenue, can then some of this on-source revenue be deployed towards development projects. For instance, the county where I come from, Migori County, we have just passed the $500 million mark in terms of on-source revenue, about 512 billion. So we want to urge counties that that on-source revenue can be channeled in some form of development, but this is a good progress that we have made, and we hope that when things stabilize, things like additional allocation for counties will help us improve the budgets and money that comes to counties. And therefore, thank you so much, co-chairs.
Honorable Kiblagat.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our co-chairs for having guided this mediation process to fruition. Now that at least we have agreed, or basically to retain the counties on what they had gotten last year, and also to caution them on the issues of inflation by adding an additional 2 billion. That is progress, and I want to urge Kenyans and the counties that we have a country to run. There is no government for county government. There are no people for county government. Neither do we have people for national government. All of them are Kenyans and need services. Now that the counties will receive the money, they need to make sure that at least they cap on wastage, they cap on corruption, and make sure before they start on new projects, they make sure at least they can finish the stalled projects so that at least we make progress. Otherwise, I want to thank the team members for having agreed so that we can move forward as a country by actually accepting the situation we are in economically. And when the economy improves, nothing will stop us from adding counties more funds, so long as we can see the development process, the developmental achievements that those money are doing in the counties. Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Udo.
Thank you, the co-chairs. Thanks a lot, the secretariat, especially the Parliamentary Budget Office, for the data and information supplied us, has helped us to have a sober and objective discussion as we arrived at the figure of 387. We also now wish to ask the counties that the intention of devolution was not to make the counties solely a cost center. They were supposed to spur economic growth, and we do hope and believe that the funds we have allocated to them, they will continuously rationalize their budget and their expenditure to ensure there is adequate funds allocated towards physical development, because this is what spurs the economy. We also want to ask them that sincerely it's time now they started sorting out the pending bills, because they're really driving this economy in the wrong side. With those few remarks, thank you, co-chairs, and we wish the counties well, and wish the Kenyan people receive the services they deserve. Thank you.
Senator Matinga.
Indeed, thank you very much, co-chairs. Thank you, members, and thank you, Secretariat. Indeed, this was quite an engaging moment. I want to thank everybody for the contribution that they did, and most importantly, knowing to the fact that the whole world is facing a global recession, I know that the senators, our commitment was to take not less than the 400 we asked for, but we are not lost of the fact that this country is also going through quite a hard time. And having said that, we would also want to tell our governors, having fought so hard to at least show some growth in the allocation that we got, we would want them to also put in place austerity measures to curb wastage, to curb corruption, and most importantly, to honor the pending bills, because they've inflicted a lot of economic suffering to the Kenyans. Chair, I submit. Thank you.
Co-chair.
As I wind up, members, remember we had another small issue. We have also decided, as this mediation committee, there was section 5 on who bears the shortfall when there is a shortfall in revenue collection, or who bears the burden, and at what length or breadth. We have decided as the committee, mediation committee, that the people who set revenue targets is the National Treasury. They need to be more realistic so that we don't then overburden counties with having to take a hit when there is a revenue shortfall. And since it's the National Treasury that sets the same targets, so it is now upon them to be realistic. If they are not realistic and they set high targets, when there is a shortfall, since the counties never set the targets, it is the National Treasury or the national government to bear the entire shortfall, so that also we don't handicap our counties from prudent planning of the resources that we are advancing them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There being no other business, the meeting stands adjourned. And to our members of the press, thank you very much for diligently covering these processes throughout. Thank you.
So members, our secretariat will get in touch with you to sign the adoption report, and then we table in the houses. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Unataka kuingiza kwa moto. Nikalisha hapa nikajua ya seated pretty. Just get pretty.
Are in charge.